Hello and welcome back to Touch Talks. In this podcast, we're diving into the heart of the touch community, exploring the stories, the skills, and the people that made the sport way more than just a game. Already the first slip up, outstanding. My name's Dom, and I am buzzing to have this conversation with Barnett, who played for New Zealand at the recent World Cup, has just been in the finals of the New Zealand Nationals. He's running his own page around coffee and handshakes, which I can't wait to hear more about. And from everything that I've been told, is just an all-round legend of a bloke. So thank you so much for giving up your time, mate. How are you?
Kia ora, bro. Thank you for that very nice intro. I like the intro you rattled off, man.
Okay,
It
we'll
was,
take that. Yeah,
it
I
was
don't
unreal.
mind.
I was loving it. You nailed it. No, bro, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I love the mahi that you're doing around this. And I think there's a lot to be said for touch in general. Like it's a beautiful game, we all know, and so I think the more people talk about it and the more stuff like this that we all sort of do across the world, it's only going to help our game grow. So yeah, bro, thanks for having me, and more than that, thanks for doing this and this project of yours. It's bloody awesome.
Oh, mate, thank you so much. I think having been an avid fan and supporter of what you and the Touch Blacks have done over the last few years, I think there's always so much of a focus on Australia. It's a bit of a shame to miss all the great work that's happened in New Zealand and just how competitive and how hard you work. So, always been such a fan. And yeah, just hopefully we can take some of the learnings that you've had in NZ and bring it over to England, the UK, Europe, and try and just grow it around the world. Because, like you said, I just love it. It's such a good game. It's so good. It's so fast. I think it's such a community focused game as well. So at that end, it's just so positive for people. But yeah, how did you get into touch? Like, take us back to where it began. What was going on in your life? How did you find it?
Bro, so like in New Zealand, I swear every kid grows up and he's like, I'm gonna be an All Black one day. And I'm absolutely no different, no shame in it. We always grew up like playing footy, at school, like as soon as you can walk, you're basically playing touch before school, morning tea, lunchtime, after school. So we always played touch at school, like primary, intermediate, and obviously play rugby sort of in the winter. But in our summer season, our local rugby club like had a Friday night touch sort of module. So our coach, Steve Gallett, put us and all the boys in. And every year we'd play on a Friday night in the summer as well. So sort of did that growing up. And then when it got to high school, I naturally sort of chose touch as my summer sport. And then when I was, I think, 14 or 13, like year 10, I don't know how it works in England. You guys just have year 12, eh?
We
Or do you
go
have year
year
13?
12, year 12, year 13s are top end. Year 13s when you hit 18, and then you go off and into the big
Oh,
wide world.
same as us. So I was like 13, 14. I was year 10. I made the premier team for the school for touch. To this day, don't know how, because like when I was younger, I sucked at touch straight up. Like I was fit and I could talk, but that was about all I had going for me, bro. I was a headless choke in terms of knowing how to play the actual game. Obviously, if anyone is listening to this and they sort of are in the realm of touch, they'll know that there's, social touch where you run around and just try to step people, and then there's actual touch where there's like a game plan and there's positions and you don't just run around on the field. And so that was sort of where I was, but kind of made the premier team somehow. And along with that, my coach, Leanne Walker, she made me and one of my best mates, Nart, she made us go and trial for the Waikato team, which is like a provincial team. And so we went and trialed. I ended up, again, don't know how, ended up cracking the under 15s, which for me at the time was like massive,
Big.
and played. And then sort of from there, I just kept going through the grades, made the 17s. When I was 16, I made the men's for Waikats, and then I made the NZ 18s from there, got an invite to the men's, and then I've been in the squad for the men's ever since. So sort of just was a game that we grew up like loving and playing as much as we could at lunchtimes. Turned into something a little bit more serious for me in high school when I just got really passionate about it and really was great. I want to play for New Zealand for one day for this, and it's taken me some pretty cool places, man.
That's so cool. I love that you're like just constantly just like 14. Yeah, I'm in the school high, like in the school first team. And then you just grow and grow and grow from there. What when you look back, was there a moment where you're like, this is my sport? Because I feel like a few people who are facing a rugby union or league, like, but a lot of it, I guess, is union probably in New Zealand. Not to make assumptions, you go, oh, at this point, I go, actually, my goalposts have changed. Like, do you remember when that was for you?
Yeah, it was the end of year 10, bro. I That was sort of year 10 for me when I was like that 13, 14 age, and I made the prems and then made my first YCAT team. I ended up getting like a real bad concussion, and I had like quite a few concussions as a kid, so this wasn't like a one off. It was probably like my sixth concussion, although seventh, but it was like a real serious one. And basically after that, they the doctors told me, they're like, yeah, great, you're not playing any contact sport probably ever again. Definitely not like rugby for a few years, but yeah, probably not again. And so I couldn't play rugby that next year, and so I sort of was like, well, I can't play footy. I'm kind of starting to get into the touch scene. I guess I'll just lock in on touch. And alongside that, one of my best mates, Nasana, who mentioned before, he got like an invite to a talent ID camp for NZ. He was kind of the year above me and obviously better than me. And so he got ID'd. And I remember I didn't. And he came back to school in like some NZ jumper or something, the Tinas. And I was just like,
Oh,
that's it.
that's tough.
That's it. I'm done with you. I'm making this thing too. So I'm going to lock in. I can't play rugby. Perfect. I'm just going to train all winter for touch and then come back next season even better.
So
That was
much
kind of the
right.
moment where I locked in on touch in terms of focus. And then those next couple of years, obviously, sort of the results and the teams and the opportunities started coming up more and more. And then it kind of just reaffirmed everything to the point where I, I don't think I could or would be allowed to play, rugby again. But at this point, it's now at the point where it's a game I love, and I've been blessed with a hell of a lot of opportunities to play. And now it's at the point where I'd rather keep doing this than go play club footy and hurt my leg or some shit and then not be able to play. So yeah, that was probably the turning point for me, bro.
Around that. That's so cool. And just only because it will be a little bit different kind of wherever people are around the world. How does it work in terms of starting at school, playing for club, making like a region? Are you happy just to share a little bit more around kind of what's the
Yes.
journey to get to the Touch Blacks?
Yeah, bro. Actually, that's a really good question. When I was on Aussie last year, sort of did my travel after World Cup, popped through Aussie, and I went and did some training with like tradies on the tradies teams. And I was having a chat with one of the boys, Mads. He like used to play for Aussie, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, bro, how does touch work here? Like, what's the whole structure? Because it's a really good question. So, in New Zealand, I think probably the high level way to think about it is like there's school stuff, school, and then there's club. Again, when you're in school, clubs just like all the underage kind of teams. Once you get out of school, you get into the big boy world. How it sort of works is there's club level touch. So I play for Playing Up. That's my club. Um, Teams like Wairere, Pearl Jam, Loaded, that obviously people will have heard of from New Zealand. That's club level. And then there's sort of it's sort of on par, but I would say next level up is provincial. So I play for Waikato. That's the sort of provincial or regional team that I play for. Then there's like the Aucklands, the Harbours, the counties. That's kind of the provincial level. So you got club, provincial. Next level up is there's a tournament which is sort of a high performance breeding grounds tournament called PTL, Premier Touch League. This is a couple of years now, but it's lesser known and it's kind of just a weird stepping stone between those two levels of club and provincial and then NZs. But basically, from your provincial and club level teams, tournaments, anything that you do, that's where you get like picked up, ID'd, and brought into the NZ system to trial. From there, you go to camps, and then obviously, depending on how you go to the camps, you'll get into the squads and the teams, etc. How that sort of works, bro, is when you get ID'd, you get invited to a camp. You go to a camp for opens level. Obviously, for NZs, they kind of just pick it off camp. But for opens, to have the best opportunity to put your best foot forward and sort of earn a black jersey, um, how it sort of works is, and this changes, but like high level again, you kind of go to trials, you'll get feedback, work ons, and once you're in the system for opens, you're just in the system. So, 1 year you might not make it, but you might be like, hey, look, we need you to work on your left right pass. And so then over the next season or two, you might just really start trying to show your left right pass. Again, they're keeping an eye on you. Boom, sweet. Hey, left right pass is great. You're in the squad or something.
So,
So that's sort of, does that make sense in sort of terms of how it
yeah,
works? Like your club, provincial, breeding
club,
ground, and then
provincial, PTL, and then you're in the squad and you're in the system, and then you're kind of like part of that group who is, I'd say that is kind of like unless something drastic happens, you'll maintain with the squad for a longer period of time, and then the team will travel. But then the squad gets back together playing in PTL, and that's the kind of, I don't know, that's the
Yeah, yeah. You
longer
sort
term.
of you have your like yeah. Once you're in, there's sort of like just a pool of, let's say, I don't know, 50 to 100, or maybe more, maybe less players, and they're just aware of you. So at any tournament, like there's someone looking at you and how you're going and what you're doing, and if you're working on your work ons or if you're not working on your work ons, and how you're moving. And yeah, you're just kind of in there until you either stop playing or you kind of fall off or
Yeah,
whatever. But once you're sort of in that realm, that kind of gets you. As long as you're keeping form, obviously nothing's ever just handed out. That gets you your invite to camps, and then you sort of go from there. And I think the only other thing that I missed was, I guess it's probably similar, I imagine, everywhere else. I know it's the same in Aussie, but how it sort of works with all those different clubs and teams and provinces is it's sort of like rugby sevens. Like you got tournaments across the summer season, and obviously you've sort of got club tournaments in January and Feb, the big ones. You have an ongoing one in Auckland the whole summer season, and then nationals, which is the provincial one, is in March. PTL, the one I mentioned, is at the end of March, and then NZ's is usually in the end of April, whereas that Trans-Tas clash, unless it's obviously World Cup year, which we've just had.
yeah, and that was literally the segue into then a bit around your journey in the Touch Blacks. Because when did you debut? When did you first make the Touch Blacks team?
Oh, so it's a tricky one with me, eh?
Yeah.
COVID, classic,
Oh,
classic COVID. Um, I made like my first NZ team. I was actually a bit of a late bloomer, bro. Like a lot of players, um, even now, like they play real early. They get picked up real early, especially these days with more competition. There's a lot of boys in our touch club that are 16, 17 getting men's experience. And I'm like, bro, I wish you could have seen me at 16. Trash. You know? But sort of I made my first NZ team in 2018, under 18s for the Youth World Cup in Kuala Lumpur. And like awesome experience, super cool. First time playing for NZ, and I went to a World Cup, and it was in like Malaysia. I was like, what the hell's going
class.
on? This is unreal.
Yeah,
Grateful. And for that, I came back and I was sort of sitting in my sitting in my flat at uni. Obviously, it was my first year of uni, so there's a lot of partying going on, as you can imagine. And I remember we'd had a big night the night before, and I was just sitting on my couch looking at my phone, and I saw this email come through, and I was like, what's this? Like, and it was an email from Touch NZ. I was like, oh, congratulations, you've been invited to trial at our Opens camp for the upcoming World Cup. And I was like, what? Like, sorry, I like dropped my phone. I was so confused. I like looked at it for 5 minutes. I was like, what the hell's going on here? I thought it had just been. I to this day I still don't know if it's because like they were trying to sort of bleed me in and develop young wingers, which is like the logical thing I think, or maybe I played good. I at the time thought it was because I was the captain of the team, so I got like a automatic trial or invitation as like a, because you were captain you get to come and see. Yeah, don't know what it was this day, but I ended up getting a trial for the 2019 World Cup with the men's. Went along to the trial weekend, not really expecting much, just wanted to learn and be around the best in the game. Like that was pretty exciting for me. I ended up having a really good weekend. Like I played really well, and I sort of got a call from the coaches soon after saying, "Look, like you're outside the 16, but you're in the squad of 20. We'd love for you to be a training partner and come along to camps." And I was like, "Hell yeah, this is like the best thing ever! I get to just go along and learn from literally like Cav and Razor and Reddy and at the time Tarkin, and just learn from the best wingers in the game, be around the best players in the game, be part of a build up for World Cup." And after that, sort of like I said before, I was just in the squad and sort of have been like in the squad ever since. At the end of 2019, start of 2020, I was obviously in the 20 men's for the youth Trans-Tas, but I was in the men's squad too. And I made the team for the first time, which was probably like one of the highlights of my career. Like I can still remember like crystal clear that day waiting for the call to find out, and then the call where I found out. But yeah, like I said, COVID hit. So we had the 20 series, had nationals, and then 2 weeks after, this COVID thing that I was seeing on Instagram hit, and everything sort of got shut down, meaning my debut for NZ was sort of delayed indefinitely. And then the
Oof.
next few years, obviously after that with COVID, like I made the team or was in the squad, whatever, but no opportunity to play. So I actually debuted. I only debuted a couple of years ago in 2023 at the Trans Tasman in Brisbane. Um,
Yeah.
really cool. So I've actually only like I've been in the team for a few
Oh,
years, been in the squad for even longer, but I've only actually played. 2023 was my debut.
gee,
So
I even that because I remember I watched that Trans Tasman because Japan went over as well, and
mm,
obviously, like as an Englishman, we have had an eye on Japan for a while in terms of trying to be like, right, they're playing pretty well, and that's probably where we're kind of like seeing ourselves. But that's nuts. You must have been so fun going back to uni, just being like, just made the squad, like pretty big time. Don't want to don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but that's
yeah,
crazy. I can't believe it's only been two. Yeah, only been two comps. So how was the difference going from 20s to men's? Like, is there a difference in the camps? Is it just the difference of quality of player? Are they pretty linked? Like, how does that work in terms of your movement between the two?
at the time, so like right then, in 2020, whenever it was, obviously we had our 20s stuff, so we had our camps and stuff for that, and then you had the camps for the men's too. But yeah, big difference. Obviously, the 20 men's is that grade is like the premier of all the youth grades. Like in my opinion, for me, it's like the highest I can play. So I'm just gonna say it like that.
Yeah,
And obviously, that's the stepping stone into the men's. Like from there, there's no more youth grades to crack. It's men's or nothing, or mixed, obviously, depending on your position. But from my perspective, and obviously just a preface for the rest of the podcast for anyone listening, for me, it's only men's because I'm a winger. So if I was in the mixed, I'd be making an interesting kind of history. But yeah, bro, I think like it's yeah, there's just a massive difference, men's versus juniors, even if it's 20s. There's a massive difference in the skill set and the speed. And I was, like you could see that going between the two camps. And obviously like going forwards as well after that, going into men's and then reflecting on what 20s is like. Just much higher standards, much higher execution. Something I had a yarn to some of our young boys about actually just on the weekend, just being we had our final against PJ, Pearl Jam for the module I mentioned, and we lost by one. Good game, um, was what it was. But I sort of took the young pups aside at the end of the game, and I just said, boys, like I just want to remind you of a couple of things. Firstly, you're all like 18. And I just want to congratulate you for being at a men's level this season with us. Like you guys have all come so far. It's awesome to see what you're doing. It's me. Some of you are in the NZ20s, the mix, the whatever, and that's awesome. Like, love that. Congrats. Just wanted to acknowledge that. And then I also want to acknowledge that in big games like this, that sometimes where, when you're a younger boy, you get caught out because you don't have the experience or sometimes you're just nervous. Like, I remember my first 2 or 3 seasons in men's, I was nervous. Like, I was so nervous. And big games, especially, you can get so in your head, especially if you're not equipped to deal with it. And I find experience usually just fixes everything. Of course, there's sports psych, but once you've been there, it makes it easy to deal with. But I sort of just reminded them, I was like, boys, like you haven't been here before. It's bloody nerve wracking, and that's why you drop the ball. That's why you get scored on because it's a big deal. And so just remember that, and just remember that the only thing that's gonna make that better to deal with is just getting your reps in and your experience. And then I sort of said to them, I was like, like when I think about men's versus juniors, one of the biggest things that I see that sort of differentiates the levels and the players is, yeah, obviously it's faster. Obviously everyone's better. Everyone's better at seeing, a picture and making a call and executing that. But I was like, one of the things, or some of the things that just make such a big difference between the two levels is the level of focus and the ability to focus for 40 minutes and the level of effort, not in terms of like being fit or being smart, but just doing your job and then switching and doing your next job. I said in 18s or 20s, when they pass the ball to the other side of the field, you can just kind of sit there and look and just be like, hope the bros got it covered, you
yeah,
know? In men's, they pass that ball, the winger might step back, pass it to the link, and the link might just get an easy walkover, or the link might pass it back, and you might sit there and just look and be like, "Ah, oh, damn," because you didn't focus and you didn't make the second effort to go and keep working. Like it's just such a simple switch, you know. On on 18s, you can kind of just try a strike. If you don't score, you kind of just be like, "Ah, damn, didn't score." Kind of just walk back and then get ready. In men's, they've got the ball. They're already on touch one. Like they're already just yarding down the field. So I think a very long answer to your question, but probably some of the key things between the men's and sort of the younger grades is just like people's ability to just focus and do their job and then do their next job and just keep putting in effort and not sort of being lazy and watching the game.
Love that. It's almost like those, I don't know, the bits which are a little bit more intangible that make such a huge difference around those extra little efforts where I don't want to say where no one's watching because I feel like that's potentially a little bit unfair, but just the speed of the game, the speed of the turnover, really working hard till we get the ball back. And I feel that that's a little bit of an insight into the touch blacks, I guess, I don't know, training style or focus points. Because I was going to ask you then how or if it changed as you were preparing for the World Cup, because obviously Trans Tasman and then World Cup, two very different competitions, right? I feel Trans Tasman, I don't want to be harsh to everyone else in the world, but you're like, it's, two best teams going at it for 3 games. That's pretty cool. But then you come
Mm.
to a World Cup and it's a completely different tournament, I guess, to build on because it's obviously much, longer time, more focus on recovery, potentially some games where you're like, we're pretty comfortable here. We know what we're going to do. How did you find it different going into 2024? So obviously coming over to England, what a place, but how did you find it? I'll be keen to hear about what you thought about it. If we always laugh that Nottingham's the centre of the universe because we play so much touch in Nottingham. But yeah, how did you find that lead into 24 into the tournament? I'd love to get an insight into your World Cup journey.
Bro, you nailed it on the head. Obviously, Trans and World Cup, two different things. And, like I sort of experienced it firsthand because you can always hear about it and people can always tell you, but it's until you actually prep and go to both that you're like, yes, yes, I see what you mean. And I think you kind of nailed the comparison on the head. Like World Cup it's a bigger fish in terms of there's more games, it's a longer tournament. You're right, like you have to manage recovery, you got to manage your load. There's other countries there that you're like, great, you've got to be aware of what are they doing? You got to adapt to the game plan. Obviously, Aussie, there's so much touch you can watch and be like, oh, this guy does this guy does this. You go up against, other teams that haven't played as much touch. You're like, oh, well, we're going to have to actually be able to like trust the systems and read stuff and adapt on the fly and just play touch without overreading it. Um, as well as yeah, like I just think there's so many like we saw Lebanon come out and Cook Islands come out as teams that not that no one was necessarily expecting to do well. I think you could have looked at the team list and been like, these guys are going to have something to say at World Cup. But yeah, there's just lots of different opponents, and it's not just one. So you kind of got to deal with it. The prep for it obviously was real big. We knew sort of about World Cup a lot earlier than Transtas just because of the bigger lead up and with touch being sort of a pay to play sport for almost everyone that plays. You got to have time to get flights to England because they're not cheap. So we knew about it sort of in advance. So we had a little bit of a longer build up. That meant more camps. It meant we could do more as a team, which was awesome. Like such a special campaign to be a part of with the boys. And touch was awesome, but also all the other moments off the field and as part of that build up were really special too. Like the plane ride over was cool. The being on tour with the boys was cool. We stayed at Nottingham Uni, bro, and you'd know they've got the line bikes there. We were
Yeah,
just every morning we're just on the line bike, just bike down to a cafe, get a coffee, or down to the dairy, get some snacks. Like it was a real cool experience, real cool campaign, and obviously being in Nottingham at the uni and the World Cup being there was it was good as well.
mate. We do our nationals at the university, so we've done it. I can't remember 3, 4, 5 years now, so it feels very familiar. And
Mm.
the big difference, obviously, is like normally you just walk down and you're like, okay, there's like our kind of like regions, and you know everyone. And then I'm pretty sure like you boys kind of cycle past and were like, shit, that's quite cool. Like they've not been here before. Like, and then you're right, like the Cook Island boys walk past, you're like, oh, that's new. And it was just, I don't know, it just felt so cool that everyone's staying at the same place, and you just kind of bump into people and have a chat. And people have made such an effort to take time off work to pay for themselves to come over. And yeah, it was just nuts, just the
Straight
scale
up.
of it.
So cool, eh? And I gotta say, bro, like England hosted that like so well. Like I hope that I think we're hosting it next. Like I just hope we can do that, like even half of that, because the fan zone, the streamed games, like the massive pub that was there. Like I imagine as a spectator, like my best mate was there, two of them were there, a few of them were there actually, and like I was walking to games, warmed up, ready to go, locked in, and the boys are there with a beer in their hand, just watching their favorite sport in the
Yeah.
summer. England just happened to have its all 7 sunny days for a decade in a row, which was unreal. Like they nailed it in terms of the hosting. Like it was sick. And I remember I was walking up to the flag, like what's it called, the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Have you watched Harry Potter, bro? Like, do you know Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Bit of coming out on a limb here, but you're from England, so surely, bro.
Yeah. Big.
Harry Potter, the fourth book, Goblet of Fire. There's like the Quidditch World Cup, and
Yeah.
especially in the movie when they like pop up and they're just like, oh my god, like this is happening, that's happening, like everyone's here. Like it's such a. I was there and I was just like, bro, this is like exactly that. Like that's how I felt. I felt like I was in that moment just then. It was so cool, so overwhelming almost, but like in a really good way.
I love that. I've never heard the Touch World Cup be compared to Harry Potter before, but I'm so going to steal that in
Now
conversation
you have.
because
Now you have,
that's
bro. You can have it. Take that one.
that's so cool. And it like beyond the event, because I agree. I had mates who came to watch, and that's so nice. And hopefully that'll be the same for you in 4 years' time. And obviously, hope you're still playing then. But it's so nice because I feel for us in England, we've travelled quite a lot recently. Obviously, for the last couple of World Cups, it's been COFs in Australia, it's been Malaysia, which was unreal. But it's costly to get over there, and it's kind of like a handful of people have come to visit. So for us, it was so special because I'm like, my family are there. Like I've got nieces and nephews there. I've got my mates who forgot the touch was happening and were just at the fan zone, having beers, and occasionally they'd wander by, and you're like, oh yeah, still here, thanks. But it was so cool. It was so special to have that many people kind of there supporting, because I think they said there was 10,000 people there for the last weekend. Because obviously coming to watch the final, we're like, oh yeah, we'll just kind of head over, and it was like, this is impossible to try and find space around the field, even with the seating and stuff that they'd arranged. It was nigh on impossible to actually get a good spot to watch. But yeah, bring it. So I could talk about this for hours. Bring it back on. Bring it back down to the touch. How did you find the actual games, the tournaments, the pool, the draw? Did you build? Did you have any setbacks? Talk us through that journey in terms of the on pitch and kind of like the build up from, yeah. So you've done the opening ceremony. You're there. It's kind of like games one's come in. Start there. How did it go?
Bro, wow, it's all coming back to me.
Oh,
It was cool. It was a really cool week. Sort of, I can't remember the exact games and days that we had and stuff, but yeah, it was. It would have been like 2 games a day that we had in the build up, and um, oh, bro, like I just remember it being so. The whole time, I was just so happy. Like it was my favorite thing in the world, and it was like you look forward to nationals every year because it's 3 days of touch with some of your best mates and against some of your best mates, and you get to play like really good touch. And it was like that, except it was for 7 days. I got to have a sleepover with like all the boys playing our favorite sport in a complete country on the other side of the world. Each day we got to play 2 games against quality opposition, and it's like teams that you've never played before, and you don't get to just play every year. Like we don't just get to play Lebanon, or we don't just get to play. Like I really wanted to play more teams from the Northern Hemisphere. Like I really wanted to play England, bro, and I wanted to play some of these other teams. Like, it was really cool to play Ireland. It was really cool to play South Africa, Wales. Some of those teams, I think that was like a real big standout for me, and like USA as well. That was sort of like the highlight for me. But I guess like touches, it's not hard to talk about. It's just like harder to remember specifics. I just remember,
yeah.
you obviously have a warm up routine. You play, you refuel, you switch off, you go support, watch a bit of games, and then sort of each night, you maybe do a bit of a review. You're catching up with coach and stuff during the day and how it is, and you're always building towards, okay, sweet, this game we're working on this game we're going to be better here, so that by the time you get up to the sort of um, quarters, semis, finals, you're kind of hitting your straps to be where you need to be to compete, and hopefully get onto each stage. So pool play was obviously about getting our reps in and winning, playing well. Each game, what can we do better? What do we need to work on? Sweet, got through. Sweet, we've got to quarters. First jobs first. USA, boom, played. Next job, beautiful. Who was it in the semi? Lebanon.
Lebanon,
And
yeah.
you that's when you're starting to really be analyzing everything. You're very game specific to beating an opposition, and then obviously we were fortunate enough to have a good game against Lebanon and get up on them, and then face Aussie in the final. And again, that came back to prep, analyze, get ready, game plan, warm up, rip in.
Rip. Love that. Full rip when it comes to World Cup final. How it must have been pretty cool, again, with that many people watching, having been away with your best mates for 7 days, literally as far away on the other side of the world as you could be, hearing the national anthem, getting ready to warm up. What was that feeling like? As like, right, it's my first World Cup. I'm in the final. Played I've played 20s before, but I don't know, did it feel different prepping for that game, the
Yeah,
last one?
yeah, bro. World Cup was everything for me. Like when I was sort of 15 or 16, I sort of decided like that touch was what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to be the best that I could in touch. Like I wanted to be the best, obviously, but the best that I could be too. And so when I got to 18 and made NZs and played a Youth World Cup and then got an invite and went to men's, and obviously like missed out on the opens. Not that I was ever I didn't ever think I'd make the men's till I was like 24. So getting an invite at 18 and then later on cracking the team was pretty cool. But obviously I missed out on 2019 World Cup, and when I got the, I knew I was never going, but when I officially heard I wasn't going, like ouch. First team I've missed out on, and only team I've missed out on to this day was that one. And I just like, fire in the belly in the best possible way, like, because you be a part of something so special but don't get to go and don't get to play. And so I just wanted to be able to go and to get to play. So it was a massive, especially from them, like a 5 year, every life decision was centered around Touch World Cup 2023, which then became 2024 because of COVID. And you do so much to get there and to be better and to play and to be better each season, each year, to put yourself in the picture and try and put your name on that sheet when the coaches write down the 16. And so, when I made the team, like, it doesn't matter whether I was in form or not, or a shoe in or not. Like, I never think that I am. You always have to earn it. But when I officially got the call, bro, like I was so emotional. I was so happy. And then to work real hard, knowing that you were in the team and you were getting to go this time, and then to dislocate your shoulder 3 months out and think, shit, what if after everything I don't get to go, and then to know that you've got like all this risk of everything going wrong, and take that on the chin and say, sweet as, to do your rehab without fail every single day, to do your training every single, just to get back to square one with a shoulder, let alone to get to a World Cup level that you want to compete at, and to just follow that, trust that, do that, train hard, do all the film, do all everything, and then get on the plane and go, and then get to play, and then get through the pool play, get through the quarters, get through the semis, and get to a final against Australia, who we'd played last year in Trans-Tas, and I wanted nothing more than to be able to play them again because they're the best. and to go against the best with the best is like all I like, bro. At a certain level, you just want to play the best. Like you just want to be a part of the best touch you can be a part of. And so for me, I wanted to do that. Then to be put in the 14, chosen to go out and face these guys and have a crack for a World Cup trophy. Like I can describe the everything that got me there, but I cannot describe how that felt to put my boots on and go out to an empty field while everyone was sat around the finals watching and start warming up for a World Cup final. Like knowing everything that I'd put into that, and I kept like a journal, bro. And I've got it on my phone. Like, I'll send it to you after this, just because it's gangster. But every day I would like write in the morning, and I just like remind myself just key messages, like just do this, do this, do this. And I remember just as it got closer to the sort of finals days, just being like, bro, remember you work hard for this shit. Like this isn't the last couple of weeks or a few months to be there for World Cup. Like this is years, and then 6 months, and then an injury, and then 3 months, and then everything. Like don't don't do all that and then get all weird. Like do all that, know that you've done all that, and then just go and like actually have the best 40 minutes of your life. Like and to be able to go out there, nail a warm up, go into a World Cup game and nail the game. And I'm so content with like how that game went personally in terms of how I played and what I did, and then to be a part of the team and how we played and what we did. And obviously, 9-6 isn't the result that we would have liked when it's Australia with a 9 and us with a 6. But bro, like unbelievably special, like highlight of a lifetime. So cool, and something I'll never forget and never take for granted as well.
That I've got goosebumps listening to that because I feel like we could do a whole nother like hour on dislocating your shoulder 3 months before the thing that's defined your purpose in life, and then working so hard and then still getting the nod to go on the plane. Because equally, I feel like Raul or the coaches could have gone, it's a big injury risk. And particularly for a winger with a dodgy shoulder, you're like, oh, will you be able to dive? Obviously, in such a fast game with tight margins. I don't know. I feel like that's a real big thing to have on the back of your mind. So I'm just listening, going, geez, that's so impressive to be able to turn around a full dislocation into, like you said, being so happy with how you played. Because I'm trying to think of another good example, but someone who just goes, "Oh, I played in that," or like, but I know I wasn't quite at my full. I wasn't my
Yeah,
100%.
I
I know,
know
but
exactly what you're putting down, bro. And that was like my build up, like my rule, especially for that year. Like at the start of the campaign, like the very first thing I wrote was no stone unturned. Because like I've had that before where I've gone to a tourney or played, and you're sort of like, what if, what if I'd done this? What if I'd done that? And so, like that was just my guiding rule, was like nothing unturned. So like yeah, the whole build up for World Cup, like I didn't miss a single session. Like I didn't miss anything. Anything I said I would do, I did it. Anything I was asked to do, I did it. And like that's not just me. Like it's not me acting like I'm the only person in the world to do that, because I know that every single person in our team did everything they could to be their best, including the management and including, sort of the rest of our wider squad as well. And I'm sure it would have been the same for England. I'm sure it would have been the same for Aussie. But I know, like, yeah, I know for me personally, bro, like I didn't leave anything unturned. And so when I went out in the final, like to be able to perform, I performed however I performed at World Cup and in that final, because I knew that I'd done the work to be able to do that. And the shoulder thing was, bro, like it was pure luck that there wasn't, it was pure luck that it was against Harbour in a really big game. So Rahul was there watching to select. It's pure luck that the dude happens to be like the greatest gift to mankind when it comes to the fact that he's a touch coach and he's also a bloody doctor, and not just any doctor, but a doctor who knows how to put in shoulders on the spot. He
I
he
didn't know
ran
that.
on, bro. So what happened was we were playing 10 minutes into the game, defense collapsed. I shut in, my arm got snagged, and this massive like dudes like Cam Tidier, he's a big boy, big bulky boy, and I got my arm snagged in his jersey. I don't know what happened. Boom, arm like whacked out. I'm on the ground crying like a little girl. Like no shame, bro. I don't know if you've dislocated your shoulder, but it hurts.
Touch wood. Oh
Like
yeah.
so bad, bro. And like there was nothing that you could have done to stop it, right? Like it was just a freak thing. And bro, within like 30 seconds, Rahul was there, and I just like was like, thank God, bro. Like put it in, just do it, just pop that thing, bro. And he
Oh
just
my
did it,
god.
put it in. So like that's luck that it was a big game, so he was there. Because if it was like longer, or
Yeah.
Rahul wasn't there, or there wasn't a doctor there, the longer a shoulder's out, the worse it becomes, and then the worse the flow-on effects of it become. So that was lucky. It was lucky the nature of how it was done that was all good. So I was like, it was basically like, sweet, you're not going to play anything for the next, you're going to miss X, Y, and Z, but that's bigger picture for World Cup, obviously, if you make the team. And then it was like, great, you will be good, but you just have to absolutely nail the rehab plan and nail everything else. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Of course, like whatever's needed, I'll do it. I quit my job, bro. Like I quit my job for 3 months before World Cup because I had enough money to live, and I was just like, I could work and be stressed out for 40 hours a week, or I could pretend I'm a full time athlete, rehab my shoulder, nail all my training, and go to World Cup. What was the sentence I said to myself? No stone unturned. That's no stone unturned. Like
That's
10 years from
insane.
now, I wasn't going to remember 3 months of like a salary job. I wasn't going to remember that the money was not going to affect me, but like knowing the decision I made put me in the best possible place to go perform in my best for the boys, for the team, for the country, for myself. Like it was worth, like 100% worth it.
I'm well jealous. I would have loved to have done that. I'm thinking back now because I left my job a few months ago and I was like, oh, so should have done that back in June and done that and gone full time athlete. I was like, what were you? So, because also I was going to ask around coffees and handshakes because I follow the page on Instagram, love the content, and I don't know. I was going to ask, is that full time? Is that kind of on the side? What's the vibe? Does that come after work? Was that in the picture at all, or has that come post World Cup?
Bro, that was like, funnily enough, a perfect sort of segue from what I just said. So I quit my job probably in like March. I was an account manager for like a marketing agency, doing heaps of digital marketing, strategy, relationships guy. And like, because I was a relationships guy, I did a lot of like, it was work, do you know what I mean? But like, it doesn't look like work, it didn't feel like work. And so, like I'd always be putting up on my stories, I'd be at coffee like with a client or doing this or that or whatever. And all the boys would always be like, bro, what do you do for work? Like, do you have an actual job? And I'd be like, yes, I do. But, coffees and handshakes, bro. Like, that's what I do for work. Um, and I just sort of took that term from, like the shaking hands and kissing babies. I was like, oh, coffees and handshakes. Like, that's what I did for work. Like,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I'd just go for meetings. Coffees, handshakes, beauty. That's what I did for Mahi. And so when I quit my job, I was quite conscious of the fact that in 3 months building up for World Cup, like I got quite a few mates that are like semi-professional or professional athletes because they don't play touch; they play sports that are funded with money in them. Um, and
Sounds
so,
boring.
yeah, so I sort of was like talking to them, and they were all sort of like, bro, obviously you need to like find something to do because if you're not working like you can only train so much. And so I was sort of like, okay, I need to find a project. I've always liked having projects like a little business or like just doing stuff. And so I was like, great, I've got the headspace now and I probably should do something, to keep myself busy while I'm not working and to keep the tool sharp and almost build up like a portfolio of something to show so that when I come back from Europe, I've got something to show for myself and I can be like, look what I did.
Mhm.
Someone give me a job.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of thinking of brand ideas, but that term of coffees and handshakes sort of stuck with me. And, like it's a big sort of part of how I live and a lot of the boys live as well is like, bro, we just love like training and then going and having a coffee. Like it's vibes. You know what I mean? Like it's unreal. There's nothing better than going for like a run or hitting the gym and then going for a coffee with the boys or vice like other way around or, like me and some of the boys, if we work from home, like we just love going to a cafe and working from there and just being around people or just getting like, working together instead of just at a desk at home by yourself feeling bored, you know, or, just meeting up on the weekend and doing that. So it's sort of a big part of how I live and how a lot of the boys live as well. And so that along with that term sort of just kept sticking in my head. And I was like, I think this coffees and handshakes thing's a vibe. So I just started an Instagram, bro. Started posting content of me and the boys going to coffee and very, very simply just being like, look, life's better with friends. Like, go make the time and effort to catch up with your mates just because it's mean, like you always feel better off when you do it, but I think we all get too busy. So it's very simply like that the brand, like people always ask me what it is, and I'm kind of like, fuck, I need to be able to describe this better, but it's bro, it's just a simple message of like, look, this is the brand, this is what the content's about, like go see your friends. So I sort of started that, and then that's been going ever since, coming up on 1 year now.
Well, yeah, that's cool. That's so good. I have exactly the same thing. I remember training for World Cup, and it was always, I don't know. There's a huge there's a huge New Zealand and Aussie influence in London, particularly Southwest London, which is where I
Mm.
live and where a lot of the boys live. So we go to train, and you're like flat white. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's the non-negotiable. Is yeah, we know the places to go. There's a couple of the touchies, particularly when we were training a lot in 2019. There was a huge influence from Southwest London, and there was a couple of cafes where the guy would either give us like basically a free flat white or like 50% off our brunch or something like that. And like, oh, avocado flat white, and then going like full rip, like just yeah, we're in just some random park, just shoes out for markers or cones, and we're just like running ourselves into the ground. It's so I don't know, maybe that's why it resonates so much when I see the content because you're like, this is sick. This is
yeah,
it's exactly the way of wanting to live, which is yeah, work hard, sit and have a chat. I love it.
yeah.
It's so cool. So is that I was gonna say because then I was gonna say what's next, but then also what's next for coffees and handshakes? What's next for you? Obviously, kind of bringing it back around to the touch thing. It's a Trans Tasman year, so I guess you might have aspirations for that. Yeah, what does life look like for the next, I don't know, 6 months? Is it growing the page? Is it getting back in, training again to put your best foot forward for selection again? Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
next six
bro.
months?
There's a few things. So like my life is sort of in different buckets, I guess. So like the first one is like I've just started a new job. I'm about a month and I'm running social media and content for like a real estate
Congrats.
company in New Zealand. And coffees and handshakes, bro, did exactly what I needed it to. Like I walked in to that job application, obviously with a good CV and qualifications, but I was like, look at this, coffees and
Yeah,
handshakes,
this
you
is
know,
me.
walking proof, and that pretty much got me the job. So I'm loving that, and sort of the focus is just like getting back into full time work and balancing everything else. And then obviously coffees and handshakes, bro. Like it's going strong. It's not paying my bills, and I don't want it to pay my bills. I don't really have any aspirations for making it into a actual business as of yet. Like 100% at some point, bro. I'd love if the thing made me some like it makes me pocket money at the moment. Like I've started doing some merch and stuff, but um, that's more just about I like doing that, and that's cool, and
Yeah,
that's building me a lot of social capital, bro. But like, it's not putting food on the table, and that's okay. Some point, I might think of some real cool business that's really relevant and really fits well, but at the moment, bro, I just want to basically keep that going, like keep pushing the message. We've got like a lot of partners in New Zealand now that like in brands that want to do stuff with us, and so well, we're just doing stuff with like run clubs and coffee brands, and like we've got some events on this year. We started doing like a weekly catch up, like free coffees. People could just come and hang out, or bring a meeting, or bring a mate, or bring some work, and just do that. Start their day right. We're going to bring that back in April, and then we've got some sort of like more events that we're going to do this year. So there's going to be a big 1 year birthday party in May. If anyone's around in Auckland, flick me a message if you want the invite. But it'll be like a big like block party with flight, and we'll have pals there, espresso martinis on tap, and coffees and merch, and like a big birthday party, like cool event. And then we'll probably do like some like I'm sure you've seen those like Saturday morning DJ sets cafes popping up everywhere. I want to do that in New Zealand too. So we're sort of like planning that out at the moment with a few people, a few cafes, and might do one on the slopes at the snow. Might go over to Aussie at the end of the year. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe for coffees and handshakes, bro. Just keep pushing that. Keep doing some cool events, and putting on spaces for people to connect. And then yeah, bro, touch obviously is always the primary for me, and yeah, transfers is coming up. Teams are sort of getting picked and announced shortly. So obviously, like I've got my hand up and hoping that I'm in there for that, and putting my best foot forward, and have done it sort of all the tournaments and stuff and opportunities that I've had over the season. So yeah, hopefully can crack that and have another crack at Aussie, bro. Because yeah, like I said earlier, like it's playing competitive touch like that is just super fun. Like there's nothing like putting yourself in your best possible shape with like 15 guys in your team and going and taking on like the best, like playing against the best with the best, bro. Like it just hits different. So yeah, hopefully you can have a crack at them in I think 6 weeks it is. But we'll find out shortly, and the teams will be up shortly. So yeah, regardless, like team or not, like we'll be helping the boys out and do all the training. But yeah, if I am picked, obviously, then it sort of goes into training mode, like lock in, and that'll be, I think, this season for me, and a lot of the other boys, like sort of talking with some of the boys after World Cup, like for us, it's our first one. For some of the vets, it's they've been around, but for us, it's very like it's so buzzy coming off such a high like that and coming back to real life and then getting back into touch. Like we sort of had World Cup, all of us pretty much travelled for a couple months, and then you come back and the season starts again, and you're like, whoa,
Here
I
we
feel like I've
go.
been playing touch like non-stop, and it's not a bad thing, but it's just like, oh wow, And so I know for a lot of us, we were just trying to enjoy touch this year, and it doesn't mean that you don't train hard, or you don't play hard, but it just means you have a lens on touch of like, look, I just want to enjoy this for what it is and appreciate it, and appreciate that I can play. And that's been me. And then I've, as always, there's a couple of niggles and stuff. So I've been managing myself a little bit. But yeah, so sort of if we're in the hunt for transsters, if I'm in the hunt for transsters, then that'll be my opportunity now for 6, 7 weeks to really, really dial in the training. And then just try and get myself as good as I can be and go have a crack at the guys in green and gold.
Love it, love it. That also resonates so much, like post World Cup, on a bit of a like a not a come down, but you're just like, okay, that puts everything else in life in perspective because it's not a World Cup. I just want to love it. I just want to be around my mates. I want to really enjoy the sport, help other people kind of learn and find it, and just get that reward and value from it. Well, that's funny you say that you're managing a couple of niggles because I'm sure most people would have seen the Instagram clip going viral of you just snapping ankles. I don't even know who the two lads are, but honestly, like getting it full rip on the wing, and obviously Seventh Touch reposted it, and it just went big time. So I feel it would be bad if I didn't bring that up just to say was a big fan, and um, yeah, I don't know, I don't know if that caused any positive news for you on Instagram or elsewhere, but yeah, that
Uh,
was sick.
that was crazy. Yeah, that kind of just happened, didn't it? That was cool. It was cool, and it was cool. I remember afterwards, I was like, I wonder if there's a camera around, like, because I know it's a live stream game. But I was like, oh, and then sure enough, like later that day, I like opened my phone and I was like, oh, tagged you in a reel, and I was like, crazy.
That's
But yeah,
crazy.
bro, like that was a cool moment. Like I'm not gonna lie or act like it was like it was super cool, and like the fact that kind of went around on Instagram was cool as well. Like I think the even cooler thing about that is like just the amount of people that are bringing cameras to touch now, because touch, bro, like that case in point, like bro, it's a walking highlight reel. Like so
It
much
is.
stuff like that happens in touch. Like you look at E4, you look at Tui, like you look at the boys that bro, I can't step. Like I was cracking up. I went to E4 after that because we were walking around and he comes up to me and he's like, bro, shut up, bro. And I was like, you shut up. Like, giving each other shit. But I was like, bro, like, I every time I do that, I wish that I looked cool like you. And he was cracking up. He's like, shut up. And I was like, nah, bro, I always look so gumpy when I do it. Like, I'm just like skitzing out, whereas you're like full step, you know? And we were cracking up. But bro, like the fact that there's so many people bringing cameras and capturing moments like that now for the game is awesome because a clip like that goes viral, gets 100,000 views, 200,000 views. That's 200,000 people looking at this, being like, "Oh, what's this? That was cool.
Yeah.
Like that was me. What is this? What is that sport?" And the sort of more eyes that we get on our game, bro. This is kind of like something that I really believe in is like a really simple recipe of touch is a beautiful sport. It's really exciting to watch. I've never had anyone come to a game of touch for the first time and say it was boring. Word for word, what everyone says to me when they come and watch their first game of touch is, "Holy shit, that was fast!" Like that's the first thing, and then they'll follow up with, "Oh, that was cool," or "This was cool," or But it's a really engaging sport, and with a lot of sports these days, sort of, some sports that have been around, like they're not as exciting to watch anymore. Some of the
Yeah,
newer sports coming out like are being designed with the viewer in mind, and so bro, touch has got that. Like it's fast, it's fun, it's exciting, it's short, it's sharp. And so as a product, it's good. It's got a great product market fit. Anyone who's there loves it. What it needs is it needs more eyes. And the more eyes we get on the game, the bigger our game gets and the more opportunities everyone in the game is going to have from that. So to have someone there with a camera get a clip like that, or to have someone at the World Cup with a camera, wherever with a camera, and just get a clip, post a clip up, and let it do its thing is, well, it's bloody awesome. And I hope that that sort of thing just keeps happening and growing for our game because, like I say, I think it's only going to do positive things for us.
100% agree. You're right. It is a walking highlights reel because I feel like you watch. I don't know, even watching like rugby union, love rugby union. Like played it growing up, still watch it all the time. Six Nations is on at the moment. Really exciting final weekend, but a lot of nothing happens for a long period of time.
Mm.
And it's not that I don't enjoy watching it, but then you go and watch a touch game and like exactly that. It's end to end and it's just end over end dives. It's people like snapping each other's ankles. It's big passes. It's intercepts. It's all the best bits kind of just condensed. So I totally agree. And the stuff coming out of New Zealand is so cool. It's so player focused. It's so just like in the moment. And I feel like there's a couple of people starting to do that over here. Shout out if he listens, I think he does. A guy named Pete, who's actually a Kiwi. He's up in Manchester, does some like quality stuff. But I totally agree. Like more people doing stuff like that is only a good thing to get more eyes, more ears, and people finding what an amazing sport we have. Because yeah, it's nuts that I don't know. It's 10 p.m. and I'm just on the like literally on my laptop chatting to you randomly, and that's all come through. That's all come through Instagram, and it's yeah, I love it. I'm such a fan, so cool. But yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much for giving up your time and speaking so honestly. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak to someone of your caliber, both in terms of like as not only a social media presence, but a phenomenal player and just a top dude as well. Really, really love the coffees and handshakes. Love the content. Didn't even reflect on the fact that you're in the finals of nationals as well as obviously World Cup finals. So just a massive congratulations on such a successful year on the pitch as well as off the pitch. New job. Seems like you're in a really good place in life at the moment. So yeah, just very very grateful for giving up your time and helping us grow touch over here in England as well. And obviously, best of luck for Trans Tasman. I really hope we can watch. I don't know how we normally find some stream somewhere or another, even if we're not meant to, just to watch because we love watching it. So
As you
yeah,
do,
mate,
as you do.
as you do, always. We just love it. We just love it. We watch. So yeah, we'll be rooting for you, mate, and yeah, just excited to see how it goes in the next few weeks. And best of luck for um, selection as well. So I feel like that was kind of like a good luck for the team. But yeah, fingers crossed that you're on the team sheet. And where is it? Is it New Zealand or is it in Australia?
New Zealand, bro, down in Christchurch.
Here we go. Home comp, mate. Anyway, rooting for you. But yeah, so to finish off, we basically have two little sections. One is just like quick fire, a little bit to get to know a little bit more about you as a person. So 6 questions, because obviously the number six is so prevalent in touch. Thought we just had another sort of route in for number six. So,
I'm playing
um,
number two for the NZ team as well, so that's perfect.
mate, what a number! What my favourite number. So here we go. Question number one: what's your favourite sport outside of touch?
Oh, just in general, or like to play, or in
I
general?
should I get asked that almost every time. I'll go in general. In
In
general.
general, bro, I'm just gonna say probably like basketball. I reckon, just because like I like what like not really to play, but like outside of touch, like the NBA is probably the thing that I keep up with the most, especially as it comes into playoffs. I'm not like a real hearty fan, like nerd out about it, but I keep up with it through the season. Then once it gets to playoffs, like I get pretty invested. So yeah, I probably have to answer basketball outside of touch.
Nice. Love it. Question number two: what is your pump up tune at the moment?
Oh, bro, I don't really have one, but the guy that always has one, bro, he's always got tunes or he's got the pump up track, bro. Trey Hippie. He's our one of our NZ wingers. He's one of my boys. We play Cats together. One of my day ones, bro. So you can always trust that dude. You need a hype song. He's got a playlist for literally everything, bro. Like so. I don't have a song, but I'd have the answer to get me the song, and that's Trey.
You have Trey. So yeah,
We've got Trey.
I like that.
He's got us covered.
Yeah, I like it. Big fan. Question number 3, a little bit more of a long one. You've just had a big day playing touch. What do you do in the evening? How do you unwind?
Sort of depends, bro. But usually, if I've had a big day or weekend at touch, it means I've been away from the missus. So I try and get some good quality time in with Sam, with my darling, and hang out with her, bro. You know, whether it's a walk at the beach or grab some dinner or whatever. Do that, or like if it's big tourney and we're with the boys, like there's obviously normally an after function, but in general, if it's just like a big day, big touch, I like just bro come home and just chill, like just switch off because I've usually means I've obviously been playing hard or being around people, and I got a massive social battery, bro. Like I thrive off people, but yeah, end of the day, like I do enjoy just coming home, like just chill.
Chill. Just
Yeah,
chill. Love it. I'm more jealous you go for a walk on the beach as well. I live in a city. Well, yeah, I love that.
bro. We
Um,
live like 5 minutes from the beach, eh? Like it's a massive part of our lives, so it's pretty nice just being able to like bro grateful as we get to just go there and go for a swim or walk like most days.
oh, that sounds like such a dream. Uh, um, right. Question for I could talk about that for. Question 4. What's your death row meal? You can have 3 courses.
Bro, I only need one, and that is this: my dad's steak and my mum's salad, and then like chips. Dad does these chips on the barbie, bro. Like if I had to have like a last meal, it would
Just
be
that,
there, and then ideally like it'd be like in that sitting at home. Um, yeah, bro, easy answer.
mate. Not even a flinch. Just bang straight in. I know what it
Straight,
is.
yeah, straight in there.
Love it. Love it. Question number 5. What's top of your bucket list at the moment?
Ooh, um, I don't really have. I do like trying to do like a big thing each year. And then yeah, like I've got like a big thing. Actually, I've got my notebook in front of me, bro, and I've got that. I've actually got like a cool life shit to do list here.
So
Um,
prepared.
and then I've got like a goals list in terms of like in life. And then like I operate in World Cup cycles or 4 year cycles. So I've got like a by the end of 2028, the end of this year. Um, but the easiest way to answer that question for me, whenever anyone asks a question and they're like, "Oh, what's the biggest or what's the best or what's the whatever," and people get stumped like I am right now, I always just say, "What's the first thing that came into your mind?" Because that's a faster and easy way to answer it. First thing that came to my mind is I'd love to like I really like traveling at the moment, so I've been over to Europe, that sort of area, like probably every couple of years. Like I've been over like I reckon 6 or 7 times. Like so lucky. But that's kind of how I prioritize stuff, and yeah, been given opportunities as well. And I really want to go to Ireland, but like, I haven't been there before. And like just a few people have been speaking about having gone or going. And that's kind of top of my list for where I want to travel next. So, not really a bucket list per se, but yeah, the first thing that came to mind was yeah, I'd love to hit up Ireland. And obviously, if I hit up Ireland, then it means getting to see some of the boys that are over there, like Benny, and yeah, come and see the boys for some training while I'm in the area as well.
You are more than welcome to come and stay. And I speak on behalf of the Irish boys because we know them quite really well. Like I spoke to John Ennis a couple of weeks ago. He is the dude to show you around Dublin. Whatever you need, if it's a Guinness, if it's a tour, he owns a couple
Yeah,
of restaurants. He's the man. So
bro, it's the spot I want to go to. Like I've got some Māori in me, and then I've got some Irish in me as well. So I really want to go to like that sort of area that my nana was from and check that out. And then yeah, just for Ireland in general. Like yeah, maybe a Guinness
quality.
tour. Maybe hit the Guinness for a bit of a tour.
I feel it'd be rude not to. And if
Oh,
you're out,
well, you come on with me when I go, bro. Sounds like you're keen.
any excuse to go over to Dublin. We play like training matches against them quite often, and we've taken like our club over, and it's
It's
just
so
such a
cool.
fun city. It's so cool. I love that. So, yeah, if you're going, drop us a message because I'll 100% just come over for the ride and just be happy to be there. Um, Quality. And then, last question of the six. A bit more bespoke, but what's the best event you've ever been to? So either like a sports event, music event, arts event. What it like? Obviously, in a
Yeah,
few months, you'd be saying it would be the 1 year birthday of Coffee and Handshake.
easy touch World Cup, bro. Like that takes like not even nothing else is even close to touch World Cup, and I feel like
Sick.
like doesn't even need explaining. Just touch World Cup.
Just touch World Cup. Love it. So good. I feel like I know you a bit better. Also, I feel like we've kind of like I've invited myself on your Europe trip. So if that's if that
You're
happens, then
welcome.
that's all right. Sick. Which leaves us with one more section, and I find this quite fun. I hope you do too. So we always ask everyone who comes on. I say we. I always ask everyone who's your starting six, but it has a bit of a twist on it. So it's not who's your best six that you've ever played touch with. It would be so. I had someone who come on who was a lawyer. I was like, "Who's your starting six if you want to win a court case in the courtroom?" So the rules are you have to have played with them at some point. So they could be from club, province, touch blacks. Um, but Finn, for you, I kind of want to know who would be your starting six for your perfect Sunday morning, which I assume is training with the boys and then having a
Oh,
coffee. So they've got to obviously be into their training, but then they've got to bring good chat in the cafe as well. And you can only it's you plus six,
me plus six.
you
Great.
plus six, and you have to have played with them at some point in your career.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go Razor and Trey on the stings. This is also touch, but yeah, for a Sunday morning, Razor and Trey. Razor's an old head. He's got chat. Trey's got the tunes, and he's a vibe.
Cool.
Um,
Good start. Strong start.
Chops, Chops is in there. Okawa Kurikanga, my guy, one of my best mates. He's got to be in there. Cam Te Pa. This guy is actually not well known in the world of touch, but he does play touch. But he's probably better known for his skills behind the camera. He runs an Instagram called On Par, which is probably like one of the bigger pages for touch highlights. Although he's doing a lot of stuff in Sao Māori at the moment, but yeah, Cam would be in there. Um, I reckon someone like E4, just because the bro is he's just crack up.
Is he?
And
I've never spoken to him.
oh, bro, he's a good laugh. Like he's a great guy to be around. Like obviously he's a walking highlight on the field, but like he's a
Gee,
munch off the field in the best possible way. Like he makes you happy, bro. Like when you're
love
around.
that.
And then yeah, bro, head noise, head noise. That's what am I up to? Four, five.
Your five. Razor, Trey, Chops, Cam, and E4. You got one more space for your training session in your flat white. Assuming you're having a flat white, obviously that's another discussion.
Oh damn, bro, I'm actually there's the last spot means not someone else, so I'll tap out on five and put myself at six, and then that way
Or
I'm very diplomatic six there. Even though
very
there's still gonna be people that are being like, oh, bro, well
normally
if I could have all the boys, that'd be my best case because that's like ultimate vibes, big crew, big training, big coffees after. But yeah, Cam Chops, Trey Razor, me and Eves, starting six for a young coffee.
mate, it's not a bad thing.
Lots of good
Yeah,
dynamics too, you know. And then I'd
people have
have a
got to.
long black with cream, bro. It's my go-to coffee.
Is it interesting?
I don't
I
know
don't.
if that's what it's called in America, and not America. I was thinking Americano. I don't know if that's what it's called in England, if they call it like Americano, or if they.
I'm trying to think that this is going to sound really bad because I would consider myself quite into coffee, and there's quite a lot of people who play touch love a coffee, and now I'm going to seem really uneducated to them because I basically just
Welcome.
go like flat white cortado. My old housemate used to do a
Hey,
lot of like
cortado is
pour over.
good, bro. Cortado is good. Long black
I
with
like
cream. Try it sometime. And then if you want a second coffee because the vibe's so good that you're still there, Piccolo, oat milk Piccolo, little baby flat white, kind of like a cortado. Thank me later.
I will. Well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. That's tomorrow morning's plan sorted. And I'll let you know. I'll drop you a message. But then in response, you drop us a message when you come to Dublin, and
I
we'll
will.
have a few beers.
I'm looking forward to the tag. I'm looking forward to seeing coffees and handshakes tagged in your coffee tomorrow morning.
Oh, absolutely. I promise I'll do that when I get up. Also, it'll be weird because I'll do that tomorrow morning, and everyone's going to be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then this will come out a couple of days later, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, fair enough." Um, Class. Oh mate, Finn, honestly, thank you so much. Like I said, the reason why I'm starting this is to try and get more eyes and ears on people playing touch and the stories, because even how you described your journey from school, being selected early, playing up in men's in opens, getting into the 18s, into the 20s, missing out, getting into the World Cup squad, dislocating your shoulder. It's nuts. Like, what a cool story. And then to come and speak so openly and honestly and share that with us or with me. I keep saying us like I've got multiple personalities. Don't know why I do it.
There's people listening, bro. There's people listening. It's you and the
It's people,
listeners.
yeah, one or two. But yeah, just massively thankful and grateful for your time. And yeah, excited to see your growth over the next 6 months, both on and off the pitch. And yeah, mate, just forever grateful. So thank you so much for coming on.
Grateful, brother. Appreciate it.
Class. For anyone listening, I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll tag some bits in the comments as well. We'll check on YouTube and Spotify. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Boom.
Okay.